I mean, that was a thing for Xbox. I'm not sure about PlayStation, to be honest. I have very little very little working knowledge about PlayStation and how they do things. So unfortunately, yeah, I'm just not sure, Susano, because I used to play some Game Pass games on my PC or on my Xbox that one way or the other you could stream them from like, for example, before I had my computer set up where I was playing mostly PC games, I would stream an Xbox game to my PC as I was playing it. It's a really weird process, right? But yeah, that was a thing that you could do. I don't even know if they even do that anymore. Lugia, what's up, buddy? And Susano, dude, starting off with the 333. Appreciate you, man. Maybe it was an option in their countries. I don't know. Yeah, DB Wild, that was a thing on Xbox, man. That was when I was trying to play games and stream them that my PC wasn't really up to snuff to handle playing as well as streaming. I would just stream them to my PC from my Xbox and then use display capture to try to like record the gameplay footage and stream it. So I don't know. Anyways, guys, I am so sorry about bailing on Halloween and Monday. I feel like I am completely falling apart in terms of this whole YouTube thing, you know? In fact, I was actually helping my son. He streamed a video game on his channel earlier tonight, and I'm just sitting here moderating his little channel and his chat and stuff, and it's like, God, if I had to do this for somebody else, I'd be exhausted. Like, just an hour or so of that, my brain was fried. Susano, we showed the kids Gremlins, so we didn't really do much. We went out to Applebee's, grabbed dinner, and then came home, and some kids came to the door, took some candy. but we didn't buy costumes with the whole moving thing. We just didn't have time for any of that crap. So, I mean, okay, guys, in fact, I was thinking about throwing this out there as an idea. Um, no, Gremlins is one of those movies that's perfect because it's like a Halloween and or Christmas movie. You can watch it whenever. So for me, I'm like, hey, that's like that kind of ends Halloween and kicks it right off into Christmas. It's perfect. It's kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas in that respect because it kind of sets you up for Christmas. Hey, geek. Gremlins gave me nightmares. Dude, honestly, I can agree with that. But also, I watched it when it was closer to the original release, and my kids now have watched like Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff. And I don't know. We don't show our kids like straight up like slasher films and crap. But I imagine they're going to be a lot better with scary stuff than I was as a kid. Like they watched Jurassic Park and none of them were scared. When I was a kid, watching Jurassic Park was like, oh my god, dinosaurs gonna come eat me, you know? The only nightmares you've ever had as well? Damn. No, I mean, I don't think I ever got nightmares from Gremlins, but it was a different time back then. I watched that dog movie Good Boy. It's all right. My dog enjoyed it. I I don't think I've ever seen that one, to be honest, other than like the original amazing, incredible Journey movies, Homeward Bound, and of course like a couple of the other ones from the 90s. I don't watch a whole lot of like dog movies. I never saw the one where they like Marley and Me. I didn't watch that one. I probably couldn't take it, to be honest, because I don't do well with movies where you have to say goodbye to somebody, or in real life, obviously. Like when I had to put my dog down, I was a mess. You know, I was just an absolute mess. Oh, the one where the dog can see the demons or spirits or whatever. Yeah, I did such a terrible job with the soundproofing, guys. All these things are sliding. All these foam squares are shifting. There's like a gap in between all of them. Hey, Remy. Have them watch Hachiko if you want them to cry. I don't want them to cry. I'm just saying, I think they do a better job dealing with scary stuff than I did as a kid. Because I was 2 when that movie came out. I was born in '86, so for me, a lot of those classic, movies that I watched that were scary for the time, that definitely kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. They just don't have the same effect these days. It's unfortunate. So I got to do some business real quick, guys. I completely forgot. I'm not streaming to Rumble because I screwed up and didn't set up the stream. So that's bad on me. I think I am streaming to Twitch, but I'm not 100% sure. I know I'm streaming to Kick, and all I have is 2 bots trying to sell me viewers in the chat. But we are on YouTube, not Rumble tonight, Twitter, and I think Kick. I don't know. Like I said, I was supposed to stream to Odyssey. I've been streaming to Odyssey when I stream. I totally forgot. I had the stream set up. I think it worked. I think going to the stream that I scheduled actually worked tonight. But that being said, I'm not mentally here, guys. I'm still not back. I'm here, but I'm not here. It's kind of like how people will take a break from streaming or videos and be like, oh, it's so great for my mental health and it's doing numbers and I'm getting everything in life figured out. And it's like, no, that's not me. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just mentally fried. That's all. One of my dreams is to visit the Hachiko statue in Tokyo. See, that's not one that I know about, but you guys know I'm not a weeb. As much as I love Japanese things, I don't watch anime. I know nothing about anything anime related or inspired. So, Cat's Eye. I don't think I ever saw that. Then something like Gremlins or even Friday the 13th, Elm Street, Bath. The thing about a lot of slasher films is they're not exactly scary because it's not psychological horror. It's not demon necessarily. It's like big man in the woods has a big knife and he slashes up a bunch of girls who are running around half naked. It's not something that's going to leave you with like crippling fear as a average guy. I just don't think it's going to have the same effect. So, that being said, guys, one of these days I will get back to uploading videos and streaming regularly and actually having, shit to talk about, because there's been lots to talk about. I just haven't mentally had the ability to deal with it. It's unfortunate because there's been a lot of great subjects to talk about, a lot of good stuff. Anyways, guys, back to Halloween. So I actually was planning on Halloween I had what do they call it? Shamag, the Arab scarf thing that you can wrap around your head or wear like as a tactical scarf or something. I got a tunic. I got the shamag thing. I had a freaking like I had my my range vest that holds my magazines and stuff for my rifles. I had that all set to go. I had my aviators or my Ray-Ban looking glasses, and I was going to stream a game on Halloween as Osama Dan Laden, right? I had the whole thing figured out. I was like, perfect, awesome, wonderful. By the time I got down to streaming and actually sitting in my chair and I had to hit go live, I'm like, I'm tired. I just can't. I just don't care. And here we are, what, 10 days later, and I still haven't still haven't done shit. So I was thinking that could be one of those things that in the future, if I actually get back to making this a regular thing, we can set that as a goal for the streams. No, I don't like doing the thing where it's like, oh, we're gonna do the grift goal where there's the tiers and we hit tier 1, I'll do this, and tier 2. I'm not Shelob. No. Dude, Susano, it's actually I'm not even gonna send the thing back because it is very like the material's really nice. Dude, I mean for real, I'll be like using that thing when it gets cold or whatever. Not like wrapping it like an actual turban, mind you. And yes, Shelob is the spider, the daughter of Ungoliant. But again, that's a whole nother separate tangent you're going to be going down. They're from Saudi Arabia. So the kids thought I was going to get a turban. I'm like, no, I'm not going to get a turban. So the thing I ordered, I'm like, this is perfect because I can still wrap it around my head. I can still put my headphones on. Set up a goal. So I figure rather than just make that a one-time thing, we can have that as a recurring thing. And again, this is not me trying to, get money out of people and stuff. I just thought, you know what? It's one of those things. It's funny. I have the beard. It works. It's awesome. Going full Habibi. Remy, you got to embrace it. The funny part about it is I don't think I have a drop of Arab blood in me of any type. I am just straight up Caucasian, yeah, mostly, European. I supposedly, according to my grandfather, I had a tiny bit of Native American in me, but like, dude, no. They make good dust masks. Interesting. Don't wear them often these days. Why order a turban when you can just watch any New York government video that'll teach you how to wrap one proper just using a towel? Dude, I had to learn how to use this. Okay, I'm gonna go grab the thing. I'm not putting on the tunic. I'm not doing that tonight. Let me go grab the thing. Hang on. Give me one sec. So it's actually a really cool color. And this is where I was like, I'm gonna send the tunic back, but I'm keeping this thing. Like I actually like this thing. It's pretty cool. Of course he leaves when you join. Hey Duck and Luck, how's it going? I didn't go very far. I just had to go right over there. Straight white male exactly. Kind of use them like advanced bandanas. Can even make them into backpacks and everything. That's what I'm saying. These things are legit pretty cool. Like, obviously, I get it. It's a meme. For somebody like me, it's just, it's a meme. It's just a head wrapping to go with my my very chic look I've got going on with the beard. But no, it's like I looked it up. It's like, yeah, it's just pretty easy to wrap. You roll it here. You toss it over. Excuse my partially bald head. Toss it over. You grab one side with your teeth. You just wrap the other side. Just tuck it in the middle. It's pretty awesome. And so that plus the tunic plus the other parts, I had to go with it. But yeah, we'll save that for a different time. He had to grab his newly purchased prayer rug. Dude, my kids were giving me such a bad time because they were like, oh yeah, Dad, you should just go out in public and start like praying to Allah. I'm like, guys, it's one thing to be like, it's a joke, it's a meme because I have the beard. Like, but in all honesty, no, screw that. I'm not going that far. Not because I'm afraid of offending somebody, but because I'm like, I'm not even going to imitate that shit. Show your costume to Hassan, he'll like it. Somehow I highly doubt that, Lucia. No Aloha snack bar. No, the Aloha snack bar would be behind me. In fact, I forgot. I left my LED lights in the kitchen on so you can kind of see the mess behind me. One of these days, when we have this office a little more tidied up and we've got everything unpacked, I might try to like decorate this counter because it's a pass through that goes into the kitchen. I might try to do something behind me where it's just a little more cleaned up because I don't like it being pitch black in this room. I like having a little bit of light, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but with that light on, you can see all the crap behind me. So it's heavy in use in the U.S. military. That's what I was seeing. I was seeing that that was actually something where, um, it's for a lot of like tactical gear and stuff. Guys will have that where it's just a decent scarf or whatever. So no, they are. I didn't realize how cool they really were. I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this thing. Like, if I ever do the costume or not, again, I don't care. I'm keeping the thing. You can scream to the wife to get you a sandwich from the kitchen. True, true. Except my wife also she has her desk and computer and stuff set up right here. Need a hand unpacking, dude. Honestly, I need more time. What I need is more time because we packed up as much as we needed to get moved over here in the first few loads, and then we started, taking some time unpacking. And luckily, because we got screwed out of being able to, leave the apartment without having to pay for it, we had the whole extra month. So we moved everything over in loads, and so now we still have a bunch of buckets and boxes in the garage of like half partially full stuff to get unloaded, right? And so that's not the end of the world. The problem is there's a lot of stuff where it's like you need to hang things on walls. And I don't want to put everything we had on the walls back up because we had a lot of crap on our walls. We had a lot of decorations. We had a lot of pictures and canvases. And, we lived in that apartment for 10 years. So we wanted it to look like, homey. That being said, I'm not putting all that crap up on these walls. No way. But we have to do something with it. So we have to sort through all the pictures and the pieces and things that were on shelves and shelves that we're not going to put back up. So it's a never-ending process. I do need to deal with that. Then on top of that, I've had to invest in leaf blower, string trimmer, pressure washer, lawnmower, yard tools. I've got finally a little bit of a handle on the yard where it's like everything's mowed at least one time since I moved in. It's pouring down rain outside. The weather here is shit. So mowing and doing all that yard, landscaping is insane. I need to go around and like winterize everything. It's just, dude, it's I don't even own the house I'm renting. But this whole living in a house after being in an apartment for 10, 12 years is just, it's a lot. It's a huge undertaking. So unfortunately, when it comes down to it, there was already the added expenditures when it came to moving. Then, the increased rent to be in the house. Then, of course, the downtime where miss but also don't miss the yard work. Oh, dude, for real. As long as you finish everything before Christmas. Dude, I want to have everything unpacked, like fully done, unpacked, as far as we're going to have it unpacked in the next week or two. But I had to fix my pressure washer. My pressure washer, the adapter valve to the garden hose wasn't connecting properly, so it was leaking everywhere. So I figured I just needed a washer for the hose. I put that in, and this morning I got that set up. I'm standing out in my pajamas in my driveway in the pouring rain with my pressure washing the driveway, just getting rid of all this moss that's just growing everywhere. Dude, I don't have enough time to do everything I need to. Just stopped doing it. Used to be outside every day for about 2 to 4 hours maintaining my garden. Yeah, luckily, everything here is pretty low-key. It's just tree branches, moss. Dude, we get mushrooms here like it's nobody's business. And they're not the edible kind. I'm talking these things are nasty, alien, life form looking things. But we have all that crap we have to deal with. And so mowing the yard, the grass is kind of squishy, kind of soggy. Rent free now. Oh my God. Man, just when you thought like the West Coast between California and Washington was getting bad. Yeah. You finally have a front yard to have Christmas decorations. You leave until February. Hell yeah. No, so one of those things I do need to get is my wife and I always talked about when we first got together. She wanted to have those tacky, like pink flamingo, the plastic pink flamingos in the front yard. And I'm like, all right, we can do that. If we ever own a house or at least live in a house, we can do that. Feels good growing your own food in part, same time that's a ton of work to be doing. See, the problem, Susano, is I don't have anywhere on the property. Well, there's space in the yard for a greenhouse, but I don't think the landlord would let me get a greenhouse. And there's not really anywhere that I can grow food. Like I could put like a plant box, like something on the back porch, but there's no, it's all landscaped. It's grass or plants or flowers or whatnot. So it's not exactly something where I can just like, hey, I'm going to start farming and growing stuff. Plus, the weather here in Washington is so temperamental. Where I live, it's only hot like maybe a couple weeks out of the year. So no one expects the pink flamingos on the roof staring you down from above. True that. I could put them on the roof, although I really don't want to climb on the roof. I have a fear of falling off of things. Go figure. All right, let's catch up on some of the basic, non-terrible, shocking news that I've seen lately. Saw this earlier today, something from Mind's Eye, the game that everyone forgot about. Apparently, they're attempting to make a comeback, but the Arcadia revival has been roasted by players for its trailer, ending with the lyrics, "Play my game is all I'm asking." Apparently, that is a thing in the trailer. I guess at one point they had 8 total players on Steam. All right, so here is the trailer from Mind's Eye, in case you guys forgot about this game. It's only 58 seconds. And I don't know if the song is copyrighted or not, so we're going to have to see after the stream if this gets claimed or not. You saw the ads for Mind's Eye, you didn't get any reactions to it. I mean, I don't know, the game... I was watching this trailer earlier, and I still remember watching the original trailer for Mind's Eye. I'm like, it looks like it's made by AI. There's just nothing about it that I care about. Yeah, play my game's all I'm asking. The crazy thing about Mind's Eye is it was advertised as being like the GTA killer, essentially. And I can't even imagine that this ever had a shot, you know? Saints Row DLC, yeah. It wanted to be Roblox. Well, people like their virtual sandbox type games. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make like a cool open world sandbox type environment. The problem is the game, there's something like, it's not the uncanny valley effect. There's something weird about this game that just completely turns me off. I don't know what it is. Looked like a powerful game engine prior for devs. Oh, okay. Yeah, it does have Saints Row vibes, though, a little bit. I mean, come on, they had to have known what they were doing with that song. Play my game is all I'm asking. That is just pathetic. That is like hardcore begging. If you go to like the top comments on here, the sad part is there's only 200 comments. That is so sad. Couldn't even get 10,000 views on that trailer. Play my game's all I'm asking. Somehow Mind's Eye returned. The desperation is real around here. I'm crying right now. I can't. That is just really, really sad. Okay, so moving on. I don't know if you guys heard about this Red Pine Lake game. It's an indie horror game that got essentially pulled off of Steam because the woman in the thumbnail for the game has a bathing suit on. Yes, that was the actual reason. That was the actual problem with it. Let me see if there's a photo. I'm not sure if there's a photo. Here it is. It's this top photo right here, right? Don't look at Sex with Hitler. We're not talking about that. But this guy right here, Red Pine Lake with the girl in the bathing suit. That was the problem that they had. Apparently, it's because it was sexualizing a woman because she was in a bathing suit, right? Soon to have your comment. There you go, ducking. To be clear, this wasn't the game we were sold on prior to launch. Still pissed I was endorsing the game prior to launch because I felt I had to go around. I remember you mentioning that you were looking forward to the game. I had to go around making sure I retracted my recommendations to everyone I told to get it. That's rough. I'm sorry, dude. But yeah, I remember you mentioning that you were actually looking forward to the game or something along those lines. Anyways, Aftermath Red Pine Lake says today is not the end of something, it's the start, because on this day we can say that we won. Steam has decided to change their decision and not censor our page. So essentially what happened was they said that the thumbnail that they were using was violating the sexual content policy and the game needed to be listed for like mature only, I guess, something along those lines. So the game could not be sold as is on Steam with the thumbnail they were using. And it was just that, a girl in a bathing suit. If your fat ass wearing a similar bikini bottom, probably not, dude. They probably would have said, you know, you're good to go, man. More power to you. They said we stood our ground and didn't bend the knee. Going forward, we'll keep fighting censorship. If we can win, so can you. We were a small team hardly anyone knew of, but we stood for what we believed in and won against the biggest platform. We didn't do this alone. It's because of all of you. People from around the world, you told us to keep going, and you stood with us. We were so grateful. Now, here's the thing. I don't even know if the game's going to be any good. If I'm being straight up honest about this stuff, I've seen a lot of games where it's like, okay, so, support these devs. These devs are based. These devs are, indie. These devs are just three people in a one bedroom apartment trying to work on their game, right? And that's all well and good. But the problem is it doesn't always add up to being a good game. Hey, Sebrew, how are you doing, buddy? $60 for Mind's Eye, no wonder, yeah. They were focused on the booty on the sales page, yeah. Story I got inbound in Comic Stream. Haven't looked into it enough to be clear, but they're touchy with what shows up on their main store listings. Okay, but to be fair, there are things that are definitely more egregious that pop up on the main store listings that don't even show, that show 10 times more than that. Doesn't matter if the game's good enough. No, it's true. And how are you doing, Mr. Hardcore Mode? But the crazy thing is more the fact that this game truly, I don't even know anything about it. The game could be complete, straight, total ass, no pun intended. Or it could be the greatest indie horror game of all time. I know nothing about the game. I watched the trailer. It looked kind of okay-ish or whatever. But the fact that this game got censored in such a stupid way is probably going to lead to a lot of sales, I'd imagine. At least it's going to lead to more attention, which could potentially lead to more sales if the game is good. Popping in streams to hear what people got to say about things. Oh boy, I actually started on time, and we just shot the shit for half an hour, so I'm barely even getting started now. It's not even a Gooner game per se. It's PS1 graphic style horror survival. Exactly. Yeah, Sebrew, it sounds like it was one person, but they were addressing it as if it was Steam as a whole. So I don't know. Permaband gives the TLDR for this for anybody who hasn't been aware of the entire thing. Indie dev of an upcoming survival horror game wants to release it on Steam. Steam initially refused to because the cover pic is adult content. Devs asked for clarification because it's literally the back of a woman in a swimsuit. Steam staff said, well, the pic of the back of a woman is adult content regardless of what she wears, which is the really stupid part. Hey, Sam Jackson. Because truly, you could even argue that you could put a woman fully clothed in Victorian dress from behind. And because it's from behind and her rear end is somewhere in the middle of the image, it's going to be considered adult content, right? You think it's just getting publicity? The thing is, Lucia, they're not the ones who prevented it from going on Steam. They had messages from the Steam moderator, whoever it was working at Steam themselves, who told them that it violated the policy. So... I just saw... Yes, Mr. Hardcore Mode, you're not wrong about that. I don't even want to say it out loud, but dude, I don't buy the hentai spicy type games. I just don't. I have one Steam account. Any of you guys can look up my Steam account. I don't have any of those on there, okay? That being said, I constantly forget to turn off the adult filter because my kids don't use my computer. They don't go on Steam, so I don't need to worry about the adult filter. And I don't want to filter out any games that somehow might get filtered into the adult category that don't belong there. I just, I'll look at games when I want to buy a game. That's it. I go there to find games I have on my wish list. But once in a while scrolling, because I don't have that filter toggled, the things that pop up on my screen, I'm like, oh, holy shit, I forgot that was there. I forgot that wasn't being censored. So once in a while, it'll catch you off guard. But yeah, no, I don't understand how this in any way got labeled as adult content. Number 5, they say more people notice the story. Devs request another staffer to look into their case. New staffer, much more polite and professional, eventually decided that the cover pic is not NSFW. Devs can now release their game. It's troublesome that it happened that way, but small victories are a victory no less, of course. Or even the butt shot per se, it's context of it, but the context of it, it's just, it's subjective. It's a woman in a lake. Sounds like I need to gift you spicy games. Hell no, Duckling. No. I did not mean to call you Duckling. Ducking. Seems like they're taking what Portal memes out to heart, like Sebrew says, the cake is a lie. Oh, man. I was writing up mine when I saw you post that, so you got tagged. I appreciate that. Japanese devs get more censored than Americans. Is that true? I don't know about on Steam. I don't know if Steam has some sort of like bend towards censoring Japanese developers more than American ones. I think it's just truly a case by case basis, unfortunately. But here's the crazy one, guys. Here's the crazy one. This game, I already forgot the game. Red Pine Lake had also shared something about this game. Now, this is not me endorsing this game. I don't know anything about this game beyond what I've read about it. But here's what gets really interesting. We go back a little ways, and we had Collective Shout doing all their work to try to protect women and children, right? That was Collective Shout's whole thing was, oh, we're trying to protect women and children by getting rid of anything that sexualizes and objectifies women and promotes violence towards women. That's their whole thing. So this game here was taken off of Steam. This person here, Kara Cadaver, is apparently one of the developers. The game is called Vile Exhumed. It says it may be banned for sale, but I refuse to let that stop people from playing the game. It's now available for free at vileisbanned.com. Please share the site, share the game, and F anyone who tries to control storytelling and expression. Down in the description for it, it sounds like she clarifies that there's nothing in the game specifically that should have resulted in it being pulled. Now, again, that's subjective, much like we were talking about already. But the game itself is one of those things that gets caught up because of what Collective Shout's been doing, where this is a game Collective Shout probably would have been happy about. So it says right here, it's from Final Girl Games. Developer statement. Vile Exhumed is a game about searching through an old computer, uncovering dark secrets, and experiencing the horrors of a parasocial obsession and misogyny. There are references to sexual assault and violence against women, as well as depictions of gore. This was never a secret. This was the point. It was intended to be released for sale on July 22nd, the largest video game storefront in the world on Steam. Instead, it was removed from Steam and banned. Exhumed was not banned for its use of gore or its intense themes that are sensitive but many players related to. It was wrongfully banned for sexual content with depictions of real people. Hey, Pork Chops, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Is that on Rumble or is that on Kick? I think that's on Kick. Can't quite tell. Hey, Tekla. Gay race communism, yeah. So, the game covers topics of assault, abuse, and entitlement, and uses a combination of FMV and practical effects to create images as horrifying as the themes. This was never a secret. There are a lot of intense visuals, but there's no uncensored nudity, no depiction of actual sexual acts, nothing spicy whatsoever, which was one of the justifications bad actors are using right now to censor games. This is actually what this actually results in is taking power and storytelling away from women, other marginalized artists, and ultimately from everyone. So again, a game that I wouldn't even necessarily have interest in playing, probably wouldn't agree with this woman on a single thing, morally, politically, ideologically, whatever. But she gets caught up in the crossfire because of what Collective Shout did, even though she probably, I would argue to some degree, is trying to bring attention to the things that they're claiming that they're trying to prevent, right? So they did a South of Midnight with it, I guess. Follow this Kara gal. She's a little bit of a lefty loon, but not so loony that she's inseparable. Well, and like I said, I'm not here saying she can't even, make her game or that people shouldn't play her game. It's just one of those weird situations where it seems like her priority, her motivation in making this game was the exact thing that Collective Shout is working to quote unquote try to stop, and somehow her game is one of the victims in the middle of it. It's an irony, Wokies, not wolves. I don't think I saw what you said. Let me scroll back up. Hang on a second. Right-wing Puritans are... Oh, yeah. Well, this was pulled off Steam, Tekla, so I imagine it goes more with like what we see with like people catering to groups like Collective Shout or whatnot. I don't know. I don't know the full story about who resulted in this game. Who was the person advocating for games like this being pulled down. I don't know. Collective Shout just wants control. She's not part of the club. 100%. So that was that. All right, let's cover the mamdani stuff real quick, and then we can talk more about like Ghost of Yotei and Outer Worlds 2 and stuff, because I do want to get to that. But unfortunately, as Tekla said, gay race communism, we do have to talk about gay race communism. So the funniest part I think about this entire situation with this mayoral election in New York is the fact that I don't think it really matters because New York is already doomed anyways, right? Still going off of dated broadcasting laws. My takes are dated as hell as such. That's okay, dude. So honestly, based on the way that big cities have been for a long time now, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people freaking out about this election because it didn't look good for Republicans and whatnot. But the thing that I find the funniest, it's freaking New York City. Like, if this was Seattle or New York or LA or Chicago, what does it even matter? Who cares? Like, I understand, like, the implications people are worried about when it comes down to, what this means for the rest of the cities and the rest of the states in the US. But it's New York City. I want to be like nothing of value was lost. And it could just be my bias because I've never been there, never cared to. Just my take. Who are the other choices? The only other big name was Cuomo. That was it. Cuomo was like the only other guy worth talking about. I can't even... There was like 7 or 8 of them. Did they want the other people that ran? At one point, I think Cuomo had like a 7-point lead in one of the polls. But we all know polls are dog shit, right? Majority of the creators that got screwed over in the whole Steam itch cleansing are part of the Alphabet Mafia. It opens some eyes to what happens when censorship comes for you. That's a good point, DB. Yeah, now it just reflects majority ethnic demographic. Well, I saw something crazy where apparently, I guess, much like London in the UK, New York City is like 30% white now. Which, again, some people don't seem to care about that as much. And again, just, full disclosure here, I don't need my country to be 100% white. Shocking. I'm not a skinhead who wants complete white ethno state, for this country. But it is concerning when you start to have outsiders, people from different cultures and ethnicities and religions coming to this country and literally overwhelming massive areas. I'd rather have this cat. The other cat was really bad for business. Is this just MSNBC making up a narrative? Yes. So the reason I went with this article was because it's complete loaded bullshit. Republicans want to make mamdani their boogeyman. That won't work. The funny thing is, if you go on Twitter, they couldn't be more wrong, right? Whatever, it's not American either. Yeah. They couldn't be more wrong because the amount of young people, especially celebrating this guy as if he was like the second coming of Christ. There was somebody who actually, I didn't bookmark it for the stream. Sorry, I had to burp. He actually put the Mary Did You Know Christmas song to the theme of mamdani and his mom. Like, did you know that one day he would rule New York? It's like, what the hell's wrong with you, dude? This man is like, they're comparing him to Jesus, basically. Think he got votes from foreign-born and liberal... Dude, white women... Well, women in general. Women, I think it was like 84% or something for mamdani. And then white women was like 56% or so. It was high 50s, I think, for mamdani. But yeah, I think 84% female. It's because I don't understand what it is, but these liberally minded women simp for these dudes. He's not a bad looking guy. I think he's a little effeminate. I feel like he's kind of closeted or whatever, but who knows? But yeah, these liberal women just simp for these dudes. I don't even understand it. It's allowed in the U.S. It's not illegal, even though you'd think it would be. Yeah. Most Republicans I follow were supporting him. I think it's just I think it's because the Israeli contentious piece of it. But you got a lot of Republicans who are anti-Zionist, anybody but America. And so they kind of lean into that where it's like, well, I'd rather have him than a Zionist. I don't know. It gets muddy, right? It gets confusing. Gonna blast all over people's faces and they're gonna lap it up like the dumb little lemmings they are until he completely screws them all over. Well, he's gonna drive the city into the ground. And I'm not saying that like out of panic, but you can't give everything to everybody for free. And then you turn around and say, we're gonna take the 1.5% of people and the top earners who we already taxed to, for like 90% of the revenue comes from like 1% of the population. And then say they're gonna pay for everything else. They'll just take their businesses out of New York. It's really not that complicated. They'll say, enough is enough, we're going to go somewhere else. One of the places where you don't require ID either to vote. Yeah. So, but again, like you said, no, I don't live there, not my problem. I'm just kind of like documenting it for the sake of watching the shit show. So here you go. This is from Timcast News. You've got people reacting to him winning.
Zohran Mamdani just became the mayor-elect of New York City, and I'm here on Steinway Street in Astoria, his home neighborhood and a longtime hub for Muslim New Yorkers. He'll now become the city's first Muslim and South Asian mayor. I'm going to talk to some of his supporters as they celebrate his historic win.
I'm so excited. I want free buses.
I'm so excited. I want free buses. Right off the bat. Right off the bat. There's biased commentators saying that Mamdani is pro-America just because he hates Israel. Yeah, exactly. Conflating the two things does not mean shit. People have some wild takes. What can I say? It's not just staying in New York City. This is their attempt to ruin America. No, Clunker, you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. It's just more for me. I'm not shocked or surprised to see this because this was always what was going to happen with these big liberal hive mind type cities. You know, Kim Iverson had that rhetoric. She's big on YouTube. Yeah, I know Kim Iverson. Yeah, I don't know her personally, but yeah. Minor note: back in the day, we required Morocco's Muslims King's Navy because we didn't have one at the time.
I spoke to people in Spain about him. Like, he really united the Muslim community all over the world. Like, honestly, this is a win for New York, but it's also a win for the community in the whole world.
Our parents luckily just became citizens right before the primaries. We're so proud to see someone.
Oh man, and they say that the replacement theory, the great replacement theory, is just a myth, right?
Who looks like us, looks like our parents, looks like my little brother, and we hope to see the future of New York City influenced by him in a great way.
What is the first issue that you want to see him tackle?
First up, most importantly, the current Islamophobia occurring today, and more awareness to the prejudice our skin tone, our people feel today.
Oh my god. This would be like saying... I can't even say it. Dude, I don't even know what I can say about this. Holy crap. 50% of people in Queens don't speak English. Well, Clunker, like I said, New York is now essentially the American version of London. Because the big story all over the world has been, oh my god, London... And it's bigger because in England, you know, English people are white. You can be British and be brown, white, red, whatever. But English people are white. They always have been. And so it was a bigger story over there because in London, the capital of England, you had a 30% English population, whereas they were 70% people who were not English-born people. And so New York is essentially becoming that way. The only difference being obviously Americans, not the ethnicity, it's the place of living, right? Yeah, it's 70% non now. Hey, Hook.
I feel really great that a candidate's actually going to be putting housing.
You have a mayor and you bitch about phobia. Exactly. Exactly. What's our brown Muslim mayor going to do to fight Islamophobia? Dude, he's already the mayor. Clearly there's not enough Islamophobia to stop him from being elected. Like, think about that for a second. I don't even understand. It's not like he's forcing everyone to be Muslims. No. No, actually, I think, like, if we're being honest, compared to the average Muslim, he seems very, very, very bad at being Muslim. Seems very, very liberal.
At the true top of their bucket list, and it's nice to know that even when he's talking about housing, Zoran's always talking about making sure it's that New Yorkers who are native to New York can actually stay here.
Affordability, like that's all that matters to people. No one cares about his skin color, his race, his religion. It's how to make this city affordable and rent. That's it.
To see somebody who's so principled on Palestine and so determined to solve the affordability crisis.
What does his views on Palestine matter for you in New York? I swear to God, these people. Outside of population representation, it's time for a DEI governor for New York City. Well, Hook, I'm excited to see what happens. I am interested to see what happens if it's going to finally wake some people up or not. I agree with you there. Sam Jackson, what he did was okay. There was one moment that won him the election, 100%. When they talked to all the mayoral candidates... mayoral candidates, I can't remember how to pronounce it. Anyways, when they talked to all of them, and one of them said, when they asked everybody, what will your first international trip be? And they're like, oh, I'll go to Israel, I'll go to Israel, I'll go to Israel. And he says, I'm going to stay in New York and help New York. That's what won him the literal job right there. That's what did it. That is what won him the job, at least in my mind.
That means a lot to me.
I think he represents not only South Asians, but communities across. I mean, you talk to South Americans, you talk to people from the Middle East, everyone feels like they can relate to Zoran.
This is only like half the journey. Now it's actually like what is he able to implement? What is he able to what's he going to accomplish over the next however many years? So again, like this is super inspiring, but we don't want to just get caught up in the moment.
Yeah, well, that's that apparently. So a lot of people are very excited. Yo, Clunker, let's chill, buddy. No need for name calling. We can agree to disagree on some stuff. It's all good here, dude. Okay, this is what I was talking about. This person here, nobody on Twitter, but these tweets absolutely blew up. 500,000 views when I bookmarked this. Zoran Mamdani is to me what Princess Diana was to my mom. I can't even begin to unpack the mental gymnastics required to understand that statement. Then you have this one here. The youngest mayor, first Muslim mayor, a democratic socialist, hated by the rich, Islamophobes, racists, and Zionists. Let the meltdown begin, baby. Okay, first off, community note, he's not the youngest mayor. Secondly, it's like Islamophobes. They keep throwing the word out there, but it's like he won the election. If Islamophobia is really that big of a deal, then how did he get elected, right? Wow, Clunker. Jeez. So funny when a statement is so shallow it becomes profound. Our mayor is that. What is this? I still remember they asked him about Billy Joel, and he could not name Piano Man. So it's like, you're going to be mayor of New York, and you don't even know, like, the most famous guy to come out in New York. That's pretty cringe. Melissa Chan says 1.5% of the New York City population pays for 33% of the state's budget. There, that's what I'm talking about. Which under Mamdani will no doubt balloon. What happens when they move? He had stated when Cuomo refuses to tax the rich, they were refusing to let workers enjoy the wealth they created. When he says low taxes foster a business-friendly environment, he means an environment where it's easy for bosses to steal from workers. Taxation isn't theft, capitalism is. Whoo, boy. Oh, man. This is going to be rough. This is going to be really rough. Here's a good one, though. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani on why he will empty out prisons. Violence is an artificial construct. I have not listened to this yet. Hang on.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence.
Okay. I can get what he's saying there in terms of, like, I hate the term hate crime. If we're saying that applying the word violence to things that aren't actually violent is bad, then can we stop calling everything that you don't like a hate crime? One of those is a violent crime. Right. I'm just saying, I can understand the thought process behind it, even if he's doing a very poor job of actually explaining it. Texas Governor Wheelchair Jim said the New York City migration Texas will be charged extra taxes. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, a lot of Texans and Floridians are saying, don't come here, don't bring that shit here. Hate crime means a white did it, pretty much. That's pretty much it. So, Horror Amarada said the definition of violence is pretty explicit. The idea that behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something is a construct is possibly one of the most Marxist things I've seen someone utter. Well, it's really funny because if you think about it, I was talking to my wife about this. Like the Islamists, like people who are Islamic fundamentalists who want to make the entire world like one giant caliphate, right? They want to, make the world Islamic. And communists actually have a lot of things in common. It's really crazy. You mean zero blacks have done a hate crime, zero charges? I don't even need to look that up. You're probably right. You are probably right. Granted, this person comes from the same group that'll turn around and tell you that using wrong words is violence. This needs to be a wake-up call. Yeah, but the thing is he going to say that, or is he just going to be part? That this is my biggest issue with people that are Muslims, that are either liberal left-wing politicians or who are Democrats or vote Democrats. Islamic people should be, based on their religion, like the most hardcore conservative people on the planet. Like, do Muslim women, actual practicing Muslim women, do they even act like they have the right to vote, or do they vote the way their husband tells them? Argue they're more neo-Marxist, maybe. I mean, there's similarities though. This is all distraction. Yeah, but a distraction from what? That's the question. Then you have like the Jewish New York City Fire Commissioner Robert Tucker announcing his resignation. Again, this is going to be interesting to see the shakeup that happens. Here's another crazy one. People called Mamdani a rabid anti-Semite. Hangs with the worst of the worst people, from Jew hater Sarsour to Hassan Piker. Callum from Lotus Eater says 33% of New York Jews voted for Mamdani, a higher percentage than Trump ever managed, who got 21% in 2024, which is crazy interesting. Is that the new Gotham City mayor? Pretty much truth. Mayor's going to get slapped down by the state governor on day one, I bet. So somebody had previously asked, I think it was Lugia, about like mayors and policies and laws and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know specifically in the context of, especially with a city like New York, the size that they are, what a mayor can really do as far as actual policy. Because the mayor is going to be beholden to the governor, he's going to be beholden to city councils, and I mean, there's going to be all sorts. I guess what, the mayor is more in charge of hiring and firing people in important positions within the government, but you know, the bureaucracy, whatnot, like your chief of, not chief of police, but like your police commissioner and all that. So goes back to the SDP, Weimar Republic, Iron Front, etc. How the DSA evolved. Well, now you're going out of my pay grade here, guys. In the area that I live, the smattering of Muslim folk who are in the area seem to be conservative minded. During the presidential election, most had Trump Vance signs in their yards. See, DB, that's what I'm saying, is like people who are, I would imagine, are actively practicing Muslims. How could you be a liberal? How could you vote Democrat? It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing about liberal ideals that goes hand in hand with people who are extremely Muslim. I don't understand. Anyways, miserable. Have you guys seen this Jennifer Welch chick? Apparently she's like from a reality TV show or something, and she's like the next big, they call her like the left-wing Joe Rogan. She's had like mounds of plastic surgery. It's crazy. Americans have no culture except for multiculturalism. Again, the rich white woman here, who probably doesn't mingle with people that look like this on her day-to-day life. She's from Kentucky, saying that white people need to spice things up by adding some brown people to their life, right? Holy crap. I mean, talk about racist. Then you got Hassan Abi saying, I no longer have to prove that these politics work. I can just effing point to Zoran.
What do I want to do? I don't even know. I don't even know what to say.
Sorry, there's going to be a bit of Hassan, guys.
I feel amazing. I just... a burden has been lifted off my shoulders. I no longer have to prove that this kind of politics works. I can just point the fucking Zoran. That's how I feel. Whenever Democrats come to me and they say, oh, let's do an autopsy of why this election turned south, why that election turned south, why did the Democrats keep losing? I can just go, that's why.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, there's going to be a few more clips of Hassan, guys. Mind you, that Mamdani denounced Hassan during their debates, actively called him out and said he wanted nothing to do with him. Normally, plastic surgery is supposed to make you look good, not horrifying. But truth, the problem is that most plastic surgery makes people look terrifying. And maybe if it starts off a little bit, like a little bit of here or there, like Botox or a little bit of lip filler or something, maybe. But like, nah, man. He has all that money, but he can't fix his audio. I'll give him a little bit of, like, cut him some slack on that. He's got a guy streaming from a phone or something. Hey, Granola Grin. Looks like New Yorkers woke up and chose communism. Hope they like finger foods and random shakings on those. Yeah. Most news anchors have some level of plastic surgery, 100%. So Hutch here says the best thing Hassan can do to help Mamdani execute on his agenda is to stay the F away from him. Here you go.
Done.
What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is, there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness in the United States of America. It's one of the things I try to address every day with my commentary. And I will say this, the conditions have deteriorated so much that everyday Americans, in spite of their lack of class consciousness, are finally arriving at the conclusion that perhaps there is an alternative out there. There is an alternative that focuses on them as opposed to the interests of the billionaires and the millionaires, as opposed to the interests of the capital owners. And I mean, you can't help but notice that. You can't help but feel at least a little bit of excitement around that.
Oh boy, I mean, I can't even USSR collapse, bro. I can't even unpack all that. And that's just a 58-second clip. You got Mehdi Hassan, Hassan Piker, Mahmoud Khalil, and Jamal Brown at Zoran's victory party last night. Nightmare blunt rotation, no shit. He's a capital owner himself. Yeah, wasn't unfortunately defeated. Hassan called out his own family. Leave the country if you don't. No, he loves the country because the Americans here are stupid enough to go, yeah, you're so right, Hassan, and they give him their $5 a month on Twitch, man. He's never going to leave because, again, it's all about the money. The Fourth Snake says, sincerely, what is the appeal of this man? He seems to just rant about how much he hates America for 8 hours a day and calls his viewers dumb Fs if they even slightly question him. Help me understand.
Let's see what this looks like.
I mean, that's just people cheering. There's not really any reason to watch that. Here's a good one, though. And Pagliacci, Anna Slats here, had a great quote tweet on this. So, Hassan gets rejected entry to upstairs seating at the Zoran Mamdani election party. This is fantastic here.
I do not have you for the upstairs list.
Okay.
Can I see your ticket tape?
Oh, I'm staff.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
If you're
So we can't go upstairs.
So they're not on the list for upstairs?
I do not. But do you have this wristband? I can also just check.
Well, so I thought movement builders could go upstairs, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I can double check and just make sure
Upstairs
on my
just
end.
more seating area.
Yeah, I just wanted a drink. I'm good.
Just so I can.
Or here.
What was your name? Sorry. Michael. Okay, great. Let me just make sure on my back channel.
We got no motion, chat. We got no motion.
We're washed.
Hey, Judge Death. This is Hassan over at the Mamdani victory party, trying to get into the after party and realizing that he wasn't on the guest list.
Fell off. It's okay.
Stop whispering in the microphone, Marsh. They can hear you.
I'm just coughing. I'm just sick.
Yeah, he's pissed off. He's mad.
I'll figure it out if I can.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem.
Take my number. Text me if you need anything.
Wait, here. Put it. Don't say it out loud.
Are you guys streaming live?
Oh yeah, we are.
Okay.
But we're not showing anything yet. But there's 72,000 people watching.
Oh, great.
Dude, 72,000 people watching him getting rejected by the guy that he's been simping for. Oh my God. So it's funny because then Anna Slats quote tweeted and said he went home and beat his dog after this. I mean, that headline right there, that's perfect, right? POV, you're a drunk cop. Even a broken clock is right at some point. Well done, new mayor. Yeah, I mean, he was smart enough to realize, get this guy as far from me as possible. So if you guys remember, Alyssa Mercante was simping for Hassan last year, or maybe earlier this year, trying to meet up with him, trying to get an interview with him, and he basically blew her off. She had her moments. Now, the crazy part about this, and again, another thing about her being kind of a piece of shit, she posted this selfie with him and says, a selfie has hit election night, obviously memeing on Twin Towers and all that.
Oh, God.
And there you see she got her little selfie with him. So she got her fangirl moment there. So kudos for her. Native Patriot pointing out the stupid commie wins, and the first thing he does is ask for your money. I have not actually watched this.
Oh, and one more thing. Remember how I told you a few months ago to stop sending us money? You can start again. This transition requires staff, research, and an infrastructure that can meet this moment.
Oh my
and it will
God.
be made possible by the people who built and believe in this movement.
Oh my God, that's making me think of The Office. I know everything's an Office line. When Michael makes his own paper company and he's beating Dunder Mifflin because they're underselling them, they're undercutting their prices. But then the accountant tells him, look, your prices are going to put you out of business because eventually you're not making enough money to sustain yourselves. And so he calls up one of his clients and he's like, yeah, I got your check, but I'm going to need you to write me an even bigger check. Oh my God. I'm sorry for this thought, but I bet she's never been so soggy. Oh my God, Wild. What are you doing to me here, man? Come on. Holy crap. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. Anyways, that's about enough of that, I think. We can talk about something else because DB Wild has just forever ruined everything. Yeah, the term is moist. Clammy. Clammy. I shouldn't have said clammy. Anyways, all right. Moving on. Let's talk about Outer Worlds 2. Now that we've addressed all the retards over in New York, we can turn the page on that one. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Outer Worlds, for those of you who actually care, I never played the first game. I couldn't care less. They've had a thing where they've been mocking everybody for like their purchases. I guess there's attributes in the game. You get deboosts and buffs depending on which edition of the game you bought, I guess. Yeah, the chat has been ceremoniously soiled, exactly. And so one of these things is if you bought the extended, like the premium edition of the game, you get a flaw for being too spendy. You spend too much money. You're too much of a capitalist, I guess. I don't know. Then they put this out there a couple days ago on their UK Xbox page, me replying to my haters. Now, a lot of people have taken this as the Xbox UK clapping back at people for criticizing the game. I don't necessarily think that's necessarily true. But Cassie, Cult Classic Cage, says, bold strategy to antagonize gamers after it's pretty clear Outer Worlds 2 isn't selling. Your games are too expensive. And remember, they did drop the price of this game halfway through the year, I think. Your hardware's too expensive. You're the corporate supervillain in your own game depicts. F you. First game was just okay. DLC made it better than mid. Yeah, a lot of people have said the same thing. The first game's just kind of meh. I don't know. You like the first Outer Worlds, didn't get this one. The irony's hilarious. 100%. Very. But for me, here's the thing. There's been a lot of games this year, and there's always games like this in AAA, where you see a trailer for it, it doesn't resonate, you move on with your day. Outer Worlds 2 did that. Starfield did that, then I tried to play it, and I just couldn't connect with the game. Avowed, even though I got a free copy of the game, and we were all making fun of it and stuff, if I had been interested to play the game, I would have given it a shot. Didn't care. Mind's Eye, another game where I look at it and go, nothing about that is drawing me in. Nothing about that's interesting me. There's been a lot of those games in the past couple of years that they just come out, they're there. It's like, well, that's a thing. That thing happened, and here we are. For me, that's Outer Worlds 2. Zero interest in it, right? It's by no means just on this, yeah. People shout at me about whether that's 7 out of 10 or more like 5 out of 10. I wouldn't get a game with either of those scores. Right. Well, Tekla, I certainly wouldn't waste half my life playing a game that's a 5 or a 7 out of 10. If I'm going to sink 30, 40, 50 hours into a game, I need it to be an 8 out of 10 or above, Outer Worlds 2 came out at a bad time. Microsoft decided to charge for more than their service. Not the greatest timing for a game release, especially ducking because this was the big push with the price hike was you're going to get all this value for your extra money you're paying for Game Pass. And you're going to get these day one releases on the Ultimate Edition. But then they put out a game like this that has bad press. A lot of people were just kind of not interested in it. So yeah. The upcoming ill game looks badass. I mean, there are some games out there that still look good. There are games that I'm like, okay, that's got my attention. But unfortunately, the majority of them just seem to be kind of like hit and miss. I don't know. And of course, on Steam, the numbers are not great. It didn't manage to break 20,000 for the all-time peak on Steam, and I'm pretty sure even Avowed got over 20,000 at the peak. So, I think I've become obsessed with Wilds, but I do enjoy it. You're better off to be obsessed with a game that you're enjoying than forcing yourself to play a game to completion because you waste your money on it. You spent $80 on a game, $70 on a game, and you feel like you have to play it, Same with Black Myth Wukong, same with diving into Stellar Blade, same with at some point going back to Ghost of Tsushima. Although personally, I think Ghost of Tsushima is not as great as everyone remembered it being. But again, the game is pretty. It is very pretty, and I do love the environment and the music. If it was 20 to 30 bucks, I'd buy it. Decent RPG. Ducking, I got a premium edition copy for free, and I couldn't be bothered to install the damn thing. That was how disinterested in the game I was. And I also got it for free on Game Pass, so I could have installed it on day one as well. Lulon or something from from Software Devs. No, I don't think so. Not ringing any bells, at least. At least the physically you can always trade in. That is very true. That is always a thing. Let's see here. On the Hellraiser game, I don't think I've seen anything about that. No, but there are some good ones. I think Ill is made by the same team that did, the Russian game. What's the name of that one? It'll come to me at some point. Played 2 hours of Avowed. It was too boring for me. I think that describes a lot of games that came out this year. Ninja Gaiden 4 seems to have done badly despite being good. Well, also came out on Game Pass. You got to consider that. The great games that come out on Game Pass do well as far as Steam and other console sales. The games that are good games that are okay that come out on Game Pass, the sales numbers are usually really, really, really blah. Atomic Heart, thank you. Atomic Heart was good. Another game that I never finished. This is a recurring theme here, if you don't know. There's about 1,000 games that I'm never going to finish, probably. And the sucky thing is I think I've got the the premium edition of Atomic Heart. It has like 2 or 3 of the DLCs or something. Eventually we'll get around to finishing it. My only problem with Ninja Gaiden 4, I was watching Vera Dark playing it on her stream like a week or 2 ago. All the freaking yellow paint in that game. They don't even do it in a way that's subtle, where they kind of go, let's put some ivy here, some vines, put something like an obvious rock that's kind of popping out for you to grab a hold of, but we'll make it shiny or reflective or whatever. No, it's truly everything's yellow. Hey, Mahendra. Lulan, the Curse of Sand. Okay, interesting. Well, no, we pretty much just covered the Hassan, Mamdani, New York governor stuff, and a few other minor stories. Nothing too crazy. But here's the goat. Here's the good one. So right here it says Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 boss hands The Outer Worlds 2 a 7 out of 10. Again, talking about that 7 out of 10 score. Hopes Obsidian spends all of Microsoft's money on RPGs more like Fallout New Vegas and also like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So this is from Daniel Vavra, the guy who I know has caused a lot of contention and all that within the games industry. But he had some not so nice things to say about Outer Worlds 2. Cursed Stand. I'll have to look it up. Look up the Hellraiser game reveal trailer. The Game Pass excuse needs to die by the end of this year. Oh no, truth. I agree with you to the extent that great games are going to do great regardless of Game Pass. But what I am noticing is the ones that aren't great games that are also on Game Pass, they just have a harder time. For example, I think it was, what was the game that just recently came out? One of these big games that was a day one release on Game Pass, but it lost them millions of copies they could have sold otherwise. And I get it. They're making money through, Game Pass subscriptions and stuff too. But it's game in my mind. New York needs Spider-Man for real. Yeah. Spider-Man and the MCU would probably just vote for mamdani. The 2018 plot was around New York Mayor Norman Osborn. Yeah. Sort of can give a key away. Sorry, I have to contact you directly later about that. Oh, no worries. Let me see. No, the Game Pass thing, I don't think people defaulting to games on Game Pass, that's why it didn't sell, is a sincere, logical excuse. I'm just saying I think it does have some effect with the games that the games that aren't as viral, for example. Look at Expedition 33, right? Game was on Game Pass day one, game was on Steam. The game sold 3 million copies in the first week or whatever. Also did well on Game Pass. I played it on Game Pass. That's where I paid to play it. So I'll eventually pick up a copy of it on Steam and finish it on Steam. You know, the great games are going to do well regardless of being on Game Pass. I can give the keys away, but not any sort of commercial giveaway. For what game are we talking about? I must have missed which one you were talking about. Oh, Atomic Hearts. Okay, yeah. I think you should put it on Game Pass after a few years. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For what they're charging for Game Pass, they might as well continue with the day one, releases. But the price of Game Pass now is so retardedly high. It's like, what's the point? Yeah, I figured it out, Susano. I know. I'm just mentally a little behind. All right. The Outer Worlds 2 has landed right alongside Obsidian's previous smaller sci-fi RPG, stoking debate among fans about how much the sequel has actually improved and how the developer's recent games hold up in shadow cast by the likes of Fallout New Vegas, a game I never played but have heard it was a great game. On that last point, Daniel Vavra, director of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, leans towards unfavorably. He shared his own assessment of the Outer Worlds 2 in a recent Twitter post that adds fuel to the fire discussions of what makes a good RPG. To Vavra, it seems the secret is in reactivity and innovation, and he's hoping to see more of both from Obsidian. Isn't that that's not even a secret? Innovation is kind of a no-brainer. Finished 7 out of 10, he says, "Find sad is that the company and the people who gave us one of my favorite games ever, Fallout and New Vegas, have been unable, even after 15 years and with all of Microsoft's money and latest technological advances, to come up with a single new game mechanic that could take this proven but ancient formula somewhere new." I think that's a fair take. Indulge me in this aside, Microsoft is perhaps not the house of innovation in games right now, or historically, nor is it, and this is not Daniel Vavra, nor is it home to revolutionary RPG crafting technology unless we're talking about an operating system miraculously held together with chicken wire and live crawfish. If anything, Microsoft has repeatedly proven itself hostile to innovative or risky ideas, but I digress. So can any of you think of a single new game mechanic in the Outer Worlds that wasn't already in Deus Ex or the original Fallout games more than 25 years ago? Vavra continues. Unfortunately, I cannot. Some people did in fact try to think of some, but Vavra wasn't having it. Flaws that give your character downsides. Fallout has had traits which had negative aspects as well. Nothing new, he said. Presciently, Obsidian VP Marcus Morgan only just acknowledged that everyone on the internet keeps asking for Fallout New Vegas 2. I don't think anybody really wants that because we all know that it's not going to be as good as the previous game, right? But made it clear that the studio is enjoying the process of creating and iterating on the new IP like The Outer Worlds and Avowed. Avowed, another game that did terribly well. Not terribly well. Did terribly. I've never considered playing Rust. I've thought about it, but definitely not something I want to get into, I think. Putting a game that goes on sale for $10 after a few years makes a little sense, though. Yeah. I mean, there are some games that people will go back to who haven't tried it before. One of my games that I found that I loved, which ironically the sequel was dog shit, was Hellblade. The first one was on Game Pass for 2 years before I played it, and I'm like, oh my god, this game's cool, right? It was definitely a one-time playthrough, but it was a great narrative-driven game, if you will, and the sequel was dog shit. But I played it on Game Pass years after it came out, so... Echoing descriptions of games like Baldur's Gate 3 and by pure coincidence, bigging up the type of RPG that he and the crew at Warhorse Studios like to make, Vavra asked the Obsidian and seemingly all RPG creators to give me a living simulated world, true non-linearity, give me something more than loot boxes, maintenance shafts, loading screens, and level grinding in a static scripted world. I mean, to be fair, if we're giving this guy credit, Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2, whether you like the decisions with the story, they had too many writers involved, they did a terrible job, I think, creating the gay romance option with him and Hans. It was a terrible idea, and they executed it poorly, and there were other decisions in the game that caused a lot of controversy, right? They still created a smooth, incredible experience with both their games, where the games look great, they run well, there's constantly moving parts and pieces with characters with schedules and all these different choices and options you can make that affect all these different things. So in that aspect, he's 100% on the money. It's like you can do these things if you really care enough to do them. I don't know how or why loot boxes caught astray here. Not that they don't deserve it. It's just that there aren't any in the Outer Worlds 2, and there's unavoidable subjectivity baked into this kind of thing. But there is something to be said for how this year's RPGs have stacked up and how the Outer Worlds 2, even with major additions over the first game, delivers a more contained RPG bubble than a sprawling megalith. Oh yeah, he's definitely not stupid. Almost got Kingdom 2, glad I didn't. Yeah, Judge Death, I bought it day one. I was ready to play that thing. I put about 10, 12 hours into it. And to be fair, the game, there's a lot of improvements in the second game off the first game. It's just the more that I dug into it, the more that I heard, and it's like, I didn't even care that they gave the character that one gay romance possibility. It was the fact that they were like, okay, we're just going to tie this in at the end, and it doesn't make sense. And basically, I'm like, okay, if you're going to make the two characters have the possibility for a gay romance, it needs to have consequences. If everything else in the game has consequences, they need to be, found, captured, stoned to death, something where there's actual consequences for the choices, not some weird, hey, we've been straight the whole game, but now we can be gay and nothing. It's like, it doesn't even make any sense. And on top of the fact that the first game, again, my biggest issue is they did a terrible job with it. That's it. It is more Twitter outrage, but my point, Remy, is if you were going to do it, make it make sense. Make it make sense. Let's see. Our Outer Worlds review notched a bit higher at 4.5. Yeah, well, again, you guys are shills. It's quite obvious. Seemingly headed off claims that this is a function of production budgets. Vavra said, I would bet that the budget for KCD2 was way lower than Outer Worlds 2. Also commented on perhaps downplayed a major distinction between Outer Worlds 2 and Kingdom Come games, custom characters. But in Vavra's view, KCD could easily have had player designed characters, which would not affect the RPG part at all. Only story would be harder to make. Sure. He's upset because he doesn't want to fund his own game, in my opinion. Who are we talking about? Vavra? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is not going to win any awards, Mahendra. I would be shocked if they won a single award. Am I going to play Arc Raiders? That's a great question. If I do look up the Hellraiser trailer, do not play the Red Band trailer, your channel will get flagged for nudity. Oh, hell. Okay. I will keep that in mind. Yes, Avowed did terribly very well. Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired and my brain is mush. Let's see here. Vavra's 7 out of 10 assessment isn't a massive outlier for the Outer Worlds 2, but Obsidian's recent lighter RPGs have also found fans of their own, even as we see demonstrable demand for games like Kingdom Come. I've caught myself longing for New Vegas as well. Okay, well, whatever. Give Arc Raiders 3-month wait to see if the developers are crazy. I'm going to get a bottle of water. You guys, I already kind of know that they're a little crazy. The question is just how crazy are they? The question really comes down to how nuts are they? No, I'm drinking green tea that's like 3 hours old. And how are you doing, Serranos? I need some water. You coming in? Come here. You can just come in here later. You want up? Come here. All right. Besides, I streamed the last stream I did. Hang on a second. The last stream I did was like 3.5 hours, wasn't it? My Monday stream, I think it was a Monday stream, like a week and a half ago was like 3 hours, guys. 3.5. New Vegas was a very unfinished game. I don't know. Like I said, I never played it. It was never big into the Fallout games. You can tell from the early trailers. New Vegas was fun, but that game, like Dark Souls 2, was released in a very unfinished state. And yeah, I have no desire to play Dark Souls 2. At some point, I'm going to go back and play Dark Souls 1, but I've heard way too many negative things about Dark Souls 2. I really don't want to play that game. Are we judging New Vegas on what the modders did to it? Well, was that one of those games that the modders saved? So as far as Arc Raiders goes, I know that there's some weirdo lefties that work there. That's, again, not going to stop me from buying a game, because as long as the people aren't advocating for you to be murdered, I think there are some obvious separate art from artist moments that we can still look at. It's when the artist wants you dead, that's where I draw the line. I think it's a pretty normal, valid take to have. So that being said, based on the whole body type AB, I was going to talk about Arc Raiders at some point. Just I don't have enough time on this stream to cover this also. The thing about Arc Raiders, the gameplay, I played the server slam. The gameplay is really satisfying. It's not as, it doesn't hate you the way that Tarkov hates you and punishes you. It's easier to jump in and out of, in my mind. So I think that Arc Raiders is one of those things that I will eventually play. It's just a matter of like spending another $40 on a game that I don't have all that much time to get into. I don't know. It's a lot, you know? The game almost bankrupted From Software. I didn't know that. Well, old Obsidian crew is gone in the same way that the old Bungie crew is gone. I mean, those companies, they're not the same companies anymore, guys. Do you want out or in? What do you guys want? Do you want in or do you want out? Pick one. Oh my god, they're gonna have a Mexican standoff here. Cat and the dog are just gonna stare at each other now through the door. Hey, Vernum! Okay, guys, what are we doing? God. It's not my kids running the house, it's my animals. Anyways, yeah, Arc Raiders I will probably play at some point because it is just satisfying. It's just that good. And she laid down. All right, I'm gonna close the door. All right. Dog says yes. He decided it was time to go. He's probably just trying to get me to go to bed, to be honest. Just don't shock him and make him listen. Dude, I could never. I could absolutely never. There's just no way. Absolutely no way I could do that. So Legendary Drops quote tweeted Daniel Vavra's tweet and said, with how frequently independents give us far above average games, I have no desire to play more of the same. There's no desire to innovate. I'm sure Obsidian loves their job. I think it's just the product of who they do that job for and the constraints that it brings. So, Judge, I've actually got the dog's a boy, and then I've got two cats, a boy and a girl. So there's a lot of hormones and, genders of animals running around here. Knights of the Old Republic 2 and the Outer Worlds are the only Obsidian games I've played. Guys, I don't even know enough of their games to tell you if I've played a single game from Obsidian. I've said it before, I'll say it again. For me, video games are those things that my parents, we didn't have much money. I got the ones that I got. I was able to play them when my mom wasn't in a bad mood where I was allowed to play a game because she hated video games. And so for me, it was like I didn't cling to which publisher, which developer made which games. It was, I play Nintendo, it's a Nintendo game. So, isn't a scenario where I'd be playing the same game 7 times? Not all the way through. Definitely not. Nuri says, I've been saying this forever. Games lately are just uninspired. Running well doesn't make it good, although Outer Worlds 2 allegedly doesn't run well, according to Nick Tech. No one's asking devs to reinvent the wheel, just to use it in their own way. Stop reheating each other's nachos and calling it innovation. That's a fantastic sentence right there. So yeah, I think that's a pretty general statement for a lot of the state of what's going on in AAA right now. A lot of things getting recycled. Ooh, who's talking about Crusader Kings 3? I hate that game. Serranos was talking about that one? Crusader Kings 3, I hate with a passion. As great as that game is, I despise it. Arc Raiders uses Unreal. Yes, but Arc Raiders uses Unreal and you can run that game on a potato. So again, they knew how to actually optimize their game. I think I've played just about every BioWare game. Yeah, see, Ducking, I couldn't tell you which BioWare games I've played and which Obsidian games I've played. I just don't know. Pillars of Eternity, isometric games. They remind me of OG Baldur's Gate. And see, I know I've played at least 1 or 2 of the Baldur's Gate games. I don't know which ones. I know I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. No bear sex for me. Sorry, guys. All right. I don't know if we're going to get to the Asmongold stuff, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's a stupid lawsuit that's going to get thrown out at some point anyways. But this one's interesting here. Saw this article a couple days ago. I'm sure a lot of people made videos about it from Game Informer, which I didn't even know was still around, saying Ghost of Yotei's Fox puzzles think I'm stupid. The funny thing is that a lot of games nowadays have had some really, really retarded puzzles in them, to the point where it's like they're holding your hand and saying, hey, I think it was Avowed that did this, where it's like, hey, take this here, put it on here, take this here, put it on here. You know, like, and your companions would give you hints if you couldn't figure it out for yourself. So there was this, it wasn't even that big of an article, like that big of a deal. Most people are glazing this game. Most people are saying the game is game of the year contender, better than Ghost of Tsushima, greatest game of all time. Okay. I've said from day one, even before we all knew that Erika Ishii was the voice actress and that, the game was going to focus on Atsu instead of Jin and everything else, that the game was going to make money. I said it. The game's going to make money. It's not going to be a flop. It's not going to bankrupt the company. It's going to make money. Is it going to make more money than Ghost of Tsushima? Is it going to sell more copies? Who knows? Probably not, right? That Black Girl game did that. The Louisiana Slave Song BS game. Oh, South of Midnight? Yeah. Every time I have a desire to go back to Fallout 1 or 2, I just install Arcanum instead. The screenshots look horrid. Screenshots from this game? I mean, it is what it is. The game is mainly about scenery. That was my biggest issue with Ghost of Tsushima, not having played it on release and then playing it 4 years later. I'm like, it looks really pretty on my computer. I just don't care. I don't know. Not defending the game, just saying these some bad shots. No, they did. This is a terrible shot. And I've noticed that in pulling images off the internet for like thumbnails or whatever, that the craziest thing is pictures that people use in articles or for like a headline for an article. And it's like, that's the image you chose to use. You could have grabbed any other screenshot from the game, but that's the one that you ran with, right? It's clear that they fluff up Yotei because it's ideological for them. Sure, Tekla. And that doesn't mean the game's good or bad. It just means that they have this bias where the game, because the chuds and the anti-woke hate it because of the people involved, the game has to be better than the one that came before, right? Nobody's being honest about the game, if we're being honest right now. Same here, the sequel poisoned it for me. Yeah, and Avernum, and I wasn't even like, oh, because of Yotei, I don't want to play the first one. Mine was more, as I started playing the first one, not to mention the whole learning about the actor who played Jin, but then as I started playing the first one for myself, I'm like, this game isn't like this super right-wing based thing that a lot of people have made it out to be. It's just a story with, Japanese people and samurai and a bunch of lesbians. Polish a turd all you want, it's still a turd. Old Irish proverb, you can put silk on a goat, but it's still a goat, right? Ghost of Tsushima is better Assassin's Creed than Assassin's Creed games. And that, to be fair, that's not wrong. Made a game pretending Japan's mother got blacked, so Japan responds by kicking. Well, that is a thing. So, the news that came out about this was that Ghost of Yotei and Battlefield 6 are the #1 and #2 top downloaded games in October across North America and Europe. All right? This is only on the PlayStation Store, mind you. What this means is the probably most anticipated multiplayer first-person shooter of all time, which also has a free-to-play Warzone-like Battle Royale attached to it, was the #1 game on PlayStation. That means literally nothing. Okay, that means nothing. Of course it's the #1 game because it's a free-to-play game that everybody's playing. Then you have Ghost of Yotei. The only massive, well-advertised, long-time anticipated sequel franchise title for PlayStation. The only exclusive game coming out on PlayStation in, worth talking about in October, right? So that's all they have to play on PlayStation, apparently. Somehow, the fact that Ghost of Yotei is #2 for downloaded games in October on PlayStation in North America and Europe is a big deal. I honestly don't believe anything they claim. Well, hey, Burnham, I believe this. I believe it. There's nothing not to believe. It's the #2 downloaded game on PlayStation. So what? What does PlayStation have? Of course it's the #2 downloaded game on PlayStation. They don't have anything else coming out. So it's like, that'd be like saying, some Pokemon spin-off game is the #1 game for October for Nintendo. That means nothing because of course it is, because it's Nintendo, right? Yeah, the argument just means more downloaded. It doesn't it doesn't have an actual sales number attached to it, right? So one of these posts that I saw that I don't know where they're getting their information from says Ghost of Yotei has reached the golden stage, 100% return on investment achieved. Total dev costs are covered, platform costs, print of game and hardware, Q3 and Q4 PR and marketing, and Q4 distribution. So every sale now is profit, apparently. Where they have their numbers and sources from, I don't know, but I believe it. I believe that they've probably covered their cost. The game was allegedly not as expensive as it could have been. Okay, so to be fair, if they've covered their cost, okay. I have no problem with that. My issue is, again, where is your information coming from? Like, where's your sources, right? Gonna wait for the yearly data leak to verify this claim? Yeah. They're bragging about making $1. Yeah, so again, I don't know how this makes the game a massive success or a massive failure. It is what it is. Like, the game made money, it sold copies, they've covered their cost. Cool, right? That's all I can say about that. This guy here, he's actually in a lot of the replies to these tweets that I saw, says PlayStation would never shut up about Ghost of Tsushima sales. They're dead silent about Yotei because they all know we would mock them. Now, there is a thing. There is a thing where there is a 16% decline allegedly in sales from Ghost of Yotei or Ghost of Tsushima to Ghost of Yotei, but then they're also charging more for Yotei than Tsushima. So the argument that you're going to see presented is that despite the difference in copies sold, they made more money on Yotei than they did on Tsushima. It still doesn't change the fact that one sold more copies than the other, but obviously a cheaper game is going to sell more copies, right? I think that's the argument people are making. Hey, Joe, how's it going? I don't think Yotei will have Sony California from them moving operations to Japan. Considering the fact that it looks like a reskin of the original, I can believe they recovered the cost already. Right? Yeah, I've earned them. And the thing is, I guess it was originally it was kind of being talked about like it was a DLC or a spin-off or a sequel or whatever. I don't know. Keep in mind the publisher earns, not the studio that made the game per se. Sure. And Hook, you're 100% right there. If it was a movie, it would be a brag about not losing money, but it is a game. And games should be printing money, right? At least the big games, the good games should be. We're arguing over the publisher's concerns, to be clear. Sure. Sure, agreed. So, then you get people like, again, PlayStation fanboys. The only time I see this Nicola person is when they're arguing with, like, Cult Classic Cage or Frittata. I gotta stop calling him Frittata, Fritanga. Flopped all the way to number 2. Again, taking shots at the chuds, right? That's all these people have. Ethan Gok over on Kotaku says there's been a week-long crash out on DEI killed my mom grifter Twitter over weather. The funny thing is he didn't check his spelling here for weather. That's ironic since he's a writer. Ghost of Yotei is selling well, and I'm sure this actual bit of new evidence will mysteriously have zero impact. Not a suitable way to sell a product? Yeah, just hoping that you don't lose money shouldn't be good enough. Let me see what his replies are. Again, the same guy asking if we have numbers like Tsushima. And it's too soon to have numbers, right? It's too soon to have numbers because Tsushima was out for several years, and then it went to PC. This game has been out for a month. So you can check the trends, but you're not going to be able to compare numbers until they've been out the same amount of time, obviously. Paul Tassi. I love Paul Tassi. My favorite is them putting it up against Shadows to have a DEI off where there's no way for them to win. Well, Assassin's Creed Shadows was the worst selling Assassin's Creed title in the last 5 titles. Like, how is that not how is that not a win in some way, shape, or form, right? Like, come on. His spelling isn't wrong, it's just not the word he wanted to use. Yeah. Eaton cock. I honestly, I don't know whether it's Gok, Gotch, Gatch, Gak. I don't even know, like, how, I look at it and say Ethan Gok, but I could be completely botching that. Either way, I don't care. I wonder if I have more money in my wallet than their game has made them so far. I have no idea. Is the game getting new buyers? Is it making new gamers? Can I make the next game based on the game just made? A lot more important questions on the business side. Yeah. And the crazy part about that is they allegedly pulled the marketing for this game, which I believe because I have not seen a single freaking ad for this game anywhere online, on social media, on TV, on cable, on streaming services, nothing. There's no marketing anywhere for this game. There hasn't been for a week or two. Then you have the fact that they're not really talking about the numbers. Ghost of Tsushima was very big about their numbers. They were hyping it up. So presumably, my argument is they likely covered their cost. Maybe they've made a little bit of money. The game isn't doing the numbers that they wanted it to. Is it going to bankrupt the studio? Probably not. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It matters to people who care about it. That's it. Something I've seen a lot of people going is like, oh, who cares? What does it matter? Well, my father-in-law likes to watch auctions where they auction off classic cars. Does that matter to me? No. I couldn't care less. It's the most boring thing I ever... Like, if I ever see him watching that, I'm like, oh my God, please no. I can't sit and watch this for a second, right? It's the most mind-numbing thing. But for him, he cares about that. So everyone cares about different things. It's kind of a silly argument to say, like, why do you even care? Well, everybody gets their entertainment in different ways, you know? Beyond sales, Yotei damaged the brand, which could have been big. I mean, it could have. It could have been huge. It really could have been huge. Diversity can kill your mom, actually, or sister or daughter. So there you have it. Tekle, you're not wrong about that. You are not wrong. Sadly, you are very, very, very close to the truth. Another PlayStation shill, I imagine. Bestseller Ghost of Yotei has sold excellent, both digital and physical. It also keeps charting on top 10 charts weekly over a month after launch. Huge success. Congratulations, Sucker Punch. Single player thriving. Mark Fox had this one. With, of course, Colin Moriarty coping. It is crazy, though, how a game that's only on one console, when there's not a whole lot else available on that console as far as new games, is doing okay. And everyone's like, see, look at this huge win. It's like, guys, it's the only game on PlayStation right now. It's huge, you know? Another guy, KJN Gamer, another one of these asses I've seen. God, he's just the worst. I was told Ghost of Yotei was a flop and hardly anyone bought it. Again, this is just looking at downloaded numbers. Downloads again. Then you got PS Guru. Reminder, boycotts don't work on PlayStation greatness. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet will be played day one. PS exclusive. And again, they don't even care about the woke versus anti-woke stuff. This is purely like console war stuff, dude. I mean, for real. Dude, those titles are hella old franchises. Yeah. Yeah, no, there are some really old ones on here. So here's where it gets a little more juicy, because we did have that recent, very, very unflattering debate between Colin Moriarty and Smash JT. Colin Moriarty decided to chime in and quote tweet this PlayStation tweet about the top charts and all that, as if it really means something. So I asked him this, and I haven't gotten a response, and I probably won't, right? I asked a genuine question, Colin. Why should this matter to anyone on either side of the debate? A PlayStation exclusive and a sequel to a massively successful title being the second most downloaded game on PS5 the month it released isn't exactly a shock to anyone. No surprise, no response, right? You can't tell if they're mocking them or they're all serious. It's the weirdest thing, because you want to believe these aren't real people, but unfortunately some of them are actual human beings. It's the strangest thing. Dude, that's depressing. The two things trending on politics right now on Twitter is communism and socialism. Good God. Just laughing because that one's been outright owned by Microsoft since 2019. Oh, Minecraft? Yeah. Yeah, apparently it's still selling well on PlayStation, or at least it's the most downloaded. Let me see. Ask the UK, their mothers and daughters are being screwed literally by diversity. Yes, but then you get the liberal white British women who say it's not actually happening over there. Low-info consumers are the targets, I guess. So, Colin Moriarty, a couple days ago, in response to a Grums tweet, and again, y'all know my general opinion on Grums. Hey, Empress! My general opinion is I don't like the guy. He is completely slimy. He's, you know, whether he had good intentions or not, he needs to finish his damn game. He's taking all these people's money. He's going to deliver them a shit product at the end if he ever finishes it. So I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. Grums had this tweet about Matt Piscatella from Circana talking about the numbers, talking about the reliability. Again, the entire debate that Smash and Colin Moriarty had, right? And again, this was, of course, Colin Moriarty's response to it, saying the funniest part of this is that if Yotei is selling 16% worse than Tsushima, that actually means it's selling better and grossing more per install base because Tsushima launched on 112 million PS4s, whereas Yotei launched on 80 million PS5s, which is a 40% gap, at a $10 higher price point. So because they've sold less copies at a higher amount when there's less total PlayStations available, Yotei is actually doing better than Tsushima. This is Moriarty math. We should call this Moriarty math. You don't even know who this calling guy is? He, if I understand the lore properly, if I understand everything properly, he was on Kind of Funny. I think it was Kind of Funny. One of these podcast bro shows, right? I believe he's the guy that got canceled over a joke. And then he started his own little like podcasting news thing where he gets like insider information from, game studios and companies and stuff. So he's like the one of these tech bro gamer guy, whatever. Keep in mind, I'm not calling myself a game dev anymore. I stopped making games, not in the industry. Enough said, finish your damn game. Yeah. I mean, I think that is like the most neutral take anybody could have about Grumps is finish your game, man. Just finish your game. I was woke on Grumps before GG2 happened. I didn't know who he was beforehand. I made a video talking about Starfield right before the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff kicked off and Grumps became like the forefront of it, where I mentioned the guy. I had no clue who he was. Other than Neon over at Clownfish TV mentioned him on a video. I'm like, oh, so the guy worked on World of Warcraft. Okay, whatever. Tard crunching, Moriarty math, whatever. Yeah, he says he's conservative. Actually, somebody, I can't remember who it was, had tweets that proved the opposite. Moriarty said he voted for Obama twice and wasn't Biden. I think it was somebody before. I can't remember who it was. So calling himself conservative was really funny because somebody had found tweets where he had said that he'd voted for like Democrats or whatever. So I don't know. Worst part is he's unapologetic about it. Yeah, he's an ass. I did ask Grok about that, and unfortunately, it disagreed with Colin's take. Oh no. Imagine that. So, of course, the ensuing fight below between Smash JT and Colin Moriarty continued, right? But then you have this tweet from Grums that I'm not even going to pull up all the quote tweets because he got destroyed over this one. He's not wrong as far as I can tell. So he says, here's a publisher trick talking about the downloaded numbers for Yotei, right? When you don't have an absolute win, you pick the highest number in a single category, which in this case is downloads, or time frame fastest this week, and you say that part loudly. If they have the absolute numbers, they would say that outselling Tsushima in all ways without marketing qualifiers. The way they frame it tells you a lot. It's no failure, it made money, but it's not the huge success people are making it out to be either. I honestly, for all the shit that I give Grums, I think that's a very fair take, right? Oh God. DB, man, you're killing me here. I can't, dude. I can't with some of this. Grums and his other half are just brain dead. I don't bother giving them a second of my time. Voted for Obama and Hillary. Oh, it was Obama and Hillary. Yeah, I think it's who it was. I don't quote me on it. I can't remember who it was, but there was somebody found tweets of him talking about people he voted for, and they were Democrats. So it's like, yeah, conservative. That being said, though, Asmongold talked about this tweet from Grums talking about Matt Episcatella, and I have not watched it yet. It's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds long, so I'm going to go ahead and play that one real quick because I actually haven't even seen this one. It's in regards to the comparison between Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ghost of Yotei, obviously. Oh, no worries, Empress. I'll check in a second.
Man, wow.
Ooh,
this is
loud.
just fucking sad, isn't it? It is just fucking sad. And it's not a surprise at all either. So what's even more crazy, Assassin's Creed in Japan was set to be their guaranteed mega hit a few years ago. Yep, that's right. And now it is like quantifiably, or at least not quantifiably, but as far as people know, everybody is just accepting that it was a massive failure. Just like everybody said it was. Do you remember the week of Assassin's Creed Shadows where all of those people on the internet were like trying to collectively gaslight everybody that this game was actually super good and it was doing really well? Do you remember that? That was so funny. And it's sad because I think about a person like that and I think about what it must be like to live your entire life in this like completely alternate universe that you're constantly at war with reality in. Because I mean, if that was me, I would be in such a bad mood all of the time. I would be pissed off constantly because I'm constantly being reminded that I'm not in reality.
Yeah, but again, if no one's there to tell you come back down to reality, or if you're convinced yourself that your reality is better, then of course they're not really gonna. Yeah. Zach gave it a 6 or a 7 if I remember correctly. Yeah, he said the same thing I think about Avowed.
I'm wrong. Yeah, they're always losing. Yes, exactly. They're not people, they're bots. Unfortunately, they're people that behave like bots. And they do because they want to, they have like an ideology, right?
Most people are NPCs. Most people are bots, you know? That's the unfortunate thing. And that's something the older I get, the more I realize.
They have a certain belief system, and this belief system ideology matters more to them than telling the truth. And I think that's clearly what's happened here. That's where things, I think, have gone wrong. Assassin's Creed Shadows was too successful.
6-7. I'm not doing 6-7.
The reason why they think it sold so low is because they can't count how high the number is that it actually sold. I guess that must be the real answer, right? I mean, I don't know, guys. And industry shill, gaming press loves to tout him and use him to attack, but he's wrong, goes Yotei, just about Assassin's Creed Shadows. What is this here? It did great. Ghost of Yotei sales are matching famously efficient Ghost of Tsushima, the US analyst says. If you want me to be honest, I think this sounds really bad. If it's doing just as well as a game that was the first edition of the series, because like you would usually assume, like for example, I bet Diablo 1 didn't sell as well as Diablo 2, and I bet Warcraft 3 sold better than Warcraft 2.
It's funny, Susano, you and I were talking about this on the last stream, I want to say, that you had said that a lot of times sequels don't do as well as the initial game, and I think you're right in regards to sometimes you have sequels that do not hit the mark that the first game hit when it comes to like financial success. But I still agree with Asmongold here that certain titles you would expect a follow-up sequel, especially for a title that's so well publicized as Ghost of Tsushima was, to do better than the first game. You know what I'm saying?
Because the game is building on a reputation. So like if you have a video game that's building on a very solid reputation and its sales are just simply matching, and this is especially after the release.
Oh, Ducking, you're not wrong,
dude.
The
first game sold with absolutely no marketing really in the same way and no prior basis to go off of. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty bad. So I don't know. Movie sequels usually fall off in sales. Well, movie sequels are different. I mean, I'm not talking about a movie. This is a game. Assassin's Creed Shadows, a big sales hit in the US, beaten only by Monster Hunter Wilds. Man, is the lowest selling game of the 5 last Assassin's Creed games. Isn't it sad? People that want to live in a fantasy world. And same tell us Assassin's Creed Shadows is doing well. Yeah, bro. Like people just want to they want to make up and believe whatever they want, right? Serious peak with Odyssey? Maybe. I don't know. I hadn't really.
Well, yeah, and Soulsborne games are a whole thing on their own. Like the Souls games are, God, that's. I mean, the Souls genre is practically an entire franchise on its own, right? So. Watch the video about that AI robot, and the end the woman does 6-7 me. Oh. Oh my god. Yeah. So again, I think it's just the reality that there are a lot of people that are not going to believe any data that comes out, even if the data is decent or reliable. And a lot of people who are going to go, I'm always going to trust the analysts. I'm always going to trust the media. I'm always going to trust the data because these people are, again, as Colin Moriarty said in that debate with Smash JT, they're the gold standard, right? And it's like, well, what the hell does that even mean, the gold standard? Like, okay, have you not lived through like the last 5 years of life, the last 10 years of the media lying to people and the government being corrupt and trying to cover up their own misdeeds and not, it's like, here's the thing. I will never judge anybody for believing a conspiracy at this point because there are so many that we were told were lies and everything was fake and you're just crazy and how could you think that? And then all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, you go, wait, that's not a conspiracy anymore. It's real, you know? Shadows was so great it made the least money of all the series, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is it wasn't the least successful ever of all time. It was the worst performing of the last 5. So there is nuance to that, sure. I think there are probably, I mean, there's probably, I could probably think of a couple titles in the Assassin's Creed franchise that did terribly. The one right after Unity, or I know some people liked Unity. I couldn't stand it. I hated Unity. But I think the one right after Unity was Syndicate, if not mistaken. I don't think that one sold very well. Batman Arkham City sold better than his predecessor, but the third one didn't do well in comparison. Yeah, I think that was the series that I looked up when we were talking about it before. That the second game did really well, far better than the first, and the third one just had a, massive dip. So. Spend $1 on advertising. Do I get that $1 back? I may get attention, but that doesn't mean I get my funds to get that attention back. No, yeah, that's not a dumb take. That's, marketing is one of those things that used to be considered necessary to get your name out there and product and stuff. And now the best marketing you have is the internet. The best marketing you have is virality, content creators, streamers, some dumb TikToker who thinks they discovered something that has never been around before, even if it's been around for 30 years, but it just happens to be your product or your thing that you're selling, and all of a sudden you blow up on TikTok, right? Gold standards, if I drank a bunch of gold schlager with those flecks of gold and took a massive dumpski and could see these flecks in the art I created. Yeah. With all the games of the modern message, you can feel the split in game design when they added these woke parts of the games if you happen to play them, like a dip in quality out of nowhere. And Ducking, here's the thing. Honestly, this is the hardest part to like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? So unfortunately, if you go back and look at old movies, old shows, and they say, well, if that was made today, you guys would call it woke. And you go, yes, because now we've been woken up to the reality that so much crap is being crammed into this thing intentionally that even if it was at the time back then, it was so subtle we didn't notice it, or it happened naturally, and that's fine because then we didn't have to think about it. Total Biscuits AC Unity review is the one where I learned what the word pectoral meant and that Ubisoft is a clown show. Interesting. Yeah, I hated Unity, dude. Unity was where I quit. I finished Unity and I never touched another Assassin's Creed game after that. I think Syndicate and Valhalla were the next two after that, or there might have been one in between them, but I just couldn't care less. Unity bored me to tears. I hated every minute of that game. Right, but regardless of marketing, it'd be interesting to see if games that got over 90% scores usually succeed in sequels versus the statistic of most sequels performing worse. I don't know, it would be really interesting to actually like pull up a chart of like, not every single game. I'm talking like top, like big name games, like franchises that are well established going back, 10, 15 years maybe, and see what the drop off is. Because when we pulled up Halo, we were talking about Halo the last stream when this topic came up. And, the Halo games did one better after the other, after the other, after the other, up until a certain point when the series fell off, right? Right. Yeah, it's not just social media, though. People have the attention spans of flies. Yeah, it's keeping anyone's attention longer than 5 seconds these days is absolutely bonkers, Origins is the one you're looking forward to play? I mean, Origins is the one in Egypt, right? And then there was Odyssey in Greece. I mean, I should have been the person to be like, oh, I want to play the one in Greece because I freaking loved ancient, like, Greek and Roman history and all that. But I just couldn't be bothered, Egypt is cool. I was not a big fan of, like, the Egyptian gods and the Egyptian mythology, but, it's pretty cool. It's definitely on the lower end for me. If I'm ranking mythology, for me, it's got to be Norse, Greek, or Roman. And then you get to like Egyptian and things below that. For me, Norse and Roman or Norse and Greek mythology, those two are damn near neck and neck at the top. Doesn't get much better than that. All right, what time is it? 11:30? We can probably say wrap it up and forget about the whole Asmongold lawsuit thing. It's really not that much to talk about. Oh God, here was one. Since we were talking about Arc Raiders. Andy Cortez over at Kind of Funny trying to stir up the pot about this game for some reason. Also, I'm a maker, not a seller, not a marketing guy. Yeah, marketing is something that's a whole animal unto itself. This was a weird out of nowhere thing. And I get what might have pissed this dude off about Arc Raiders because I and many people noticed, okay, why do we have type body type A, body type B? Why are all the characters so androgynous looking? There was a lot of questions about that game. And he put out this tweet on the 2nd and said, have any of the grifters talked about how the characters in Arc Raiders are so multicultural and how none of them are overly sexual, or is the game too successful to bring any of that up? Let me know. I mean, the dude was looking to get beat down because everybody in the replies completely destroyed him, just smacked him down. It was the funniest thing. But the funny part is he's trying to like bait people into complaining about the game. Cassie said, Arc Raiders is a game where you create a character with zero culture. The game encourages you to buy skins that are half the price or more of the game itself just to hide the face of the ugly MFers you play as. Why aren't you talking about the ridiculously overpriced skins, or are you just a pathetic reactionary? Once again, kind of funny shill proving they aren't funny at all, just stupid. I mean, this here was a fantastic response, right? But the point still stands. Arc Raiders, for all the great things people are talking about, and like I said, I'll probably pick the game up at some point. The characters are not just ugly, like dystopian, the world is, ended, and it's like, Mad Max type of stuff. They are truly just hideous looking designs. When I made my character, I picked body type A instead of B because I wanted to play a male. We all know body type A is male. Then I picked a head that was obviously male, put it on my character, and my character had a female voice. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Remember to look up Lulan. I got hyped. I'll take a look at it. Egyptian's older than Greek and Roman, Norse, and so on. You can find a lot of the same stories in Greek and Roman and Norse that were first told. Sure. I'm just talking aesthetically. I like the Norse stuff more. That's all. Bought Origins and Odyssey on a winter sale, installed them, tried to launch, and the Uplay client kept crashing, so I refunded and got them from a more reliable source. The characters are so androgynous that Asmongold accidentally made a female. That's what I'm saying. So body types A and B in Arc Raiders look virtually the same. Like there's very few differences between the two character styles, two body types, as you will. And then the faces, there are some that, okay, this is obviously like an old ass man, right? But the ones that aren't hideous and aren't like really old, it's damn near impossible to tell, So, a ton of buzz on this game. No idea what people are saying about it. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know Endymion covered it also. It's one of those things that I had actually asked Andy about this too. Not sure where. Did I quote tweet this guy? Let me check the quote tweets. Hang on a second. Why does it keep doing that? Okay, so I said most of us gamers, in parentheses, don't want overly sexualized characters in settings where it's uncalled for. The two issues I take with Arc Raiders customization options are type A and B is retarded and pointless, and I put what looks like a man's head on type A and got a female voice. Actually, he had another tweet about this. Let me check here. Because again, he didn't respond to that one either. Yeah, he says, we cannot use grifter and change it to dummy or stupid ass. The point stays the same. Body type A and B, non-binary. Unless the game is good, then I'll vote with my wallet and buy it. And again, I asked him, I care to enlighten us as to how body type in A or B even makes sense to use in the first place, since we all know it directly correlates to male and female bodies. It doesn't ruin the game. It's just bullshit from people who are afraid to use gendered language, plain and simple. Again, he refuses to address it. Refuses to actually say anything about it, Body type thing's a requirement, I think. Can't remember who enforces it. I heard it was something. Yeah, Susanna, that was me. Female voice, male character. Yep. Concord Raiders, their whole aesthetics is just hideous, period, right? And I don't mind the aesthetics of the game being dystopian. That's the fun part. It's like, yeah, there are scavengers and stuff. Cool. All right. So everything's broken down and dingy and dirty. The people are scrappy looking and all that. That's fine. My issue is the fact that it's not a matter of, okay, the characters aren't going to be like, they're not going to look like Eve from Stellar Blade, obviously. Fine. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with characters, oh my God, Repeal the 19th is trending. I'm perfectly fine with characters fitting the setting that they exist in. What I'm not okay with is people believing that in the future, in a dystopian society, genders would stop existing and everybody would look the same. That's a problem, That is a problem. YouTube keeps on showing Outer Worlds 2 is great content from YouTube creators who have less than 300 plus subs. I wonder if MS is paying them. Yes, they are. I have no doubt about that. Let's say came around back when they started saying code was racist, sexist, and so on. People were freaking out because you had a master and slave jumper on hard drives. Yep, they were all freaking about really dumb labels. Like, really, this is what you're mad about? Yeah. Well, over a decade ago, I learned AB were originally in Asian games. I remember this from playing Phantasy Star Online. It was always like that. Maybe the woke devs weaponized it. I don't know, but there's no reason for it to be in Western games. So, for example, I think the most famous example is Elden Ring, right? And they always go back to Elden Ring and say, well, you guys don't realize Elden Ring is woke because it had body type A and B. And you go, okay, so I didn't realize at the time. You know, I was first off, when I played Elden Ring, I was dying. I was like trying not to go to the hospital, which eventually I ended up going anyways. But I created my character. I don't spend a whole lot of time in character creation screens. I mess around with a few settings, get the character roughly the way I want it to look, and then I just kind of let go with it, right? That being said, I didn't think about it at the time because I also wasn't covering this stuff. I wasn't, subjecting myself to this kind of stuff on a daily basis. So I didn't realize that it was becoming the norm. And now that it's become the norm, it's like, why has this become a thing in the US, you know? Oh yeah, no, From Software's not woke. It's just a lot of times they try to use it to point to it as the example of, well, if you don't like it, then, you know, Elden Ring's woke, so deal with it, basically. It's like, no. Just a lot of historical things in those games. Look, they create the story they want to create. And if there's elements that people want to claim are woke, that's up to interpretation. Obviously, it doesn't hurt the game, or doesn't hurt the quality of the game or the storytelling, because people love those series. They love the games that FromSoft puts out. So clearly, it's not going to have a negative impact on the game. Like I said, it doesn't ruin the game necessarily. The issue comes down to, why are you doing it in the first place? Yo, Smeg!
I like to be liked. Do I need
My
do I
dude!
need to be
Oh, you got
liked?
Serranos on that one. Hell yeah, dude.
I like to be. Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked.
Phantasy Star had AB long before it was a thing in games nowadays.
To be liked.
I didn't play Phantasy Star. I didn't know that was a thing. Your gender is either male or female. Your body type is either slim, fat, buff, or petite. There you go. For some of us, you can kind of have both. At times in my life, I've been both petite and buff, but it was a very petite buff. Smeg, dude, appreciate you, man. Hope things are going good. I'm going to, again, retroactively apologize for being inconsistent with the streams, but I'm going to keep working at it. Keep trying to get back to a more regular schedule. Funny if they're calling the annual work. Honestly, I think it's just trying to deflect from us questioning why we're seeing this pop up more in Western games, and going along with, again, the androgynous looking faces and the weird body types and everything else, you know? So, body type 2, boob slider, flat A+. Oh, God. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I am going to get a little bit of sleep. Maybe tomorrow at work I'll get a video recorded. And then back for I think Friday we'll do a game stream. If I can manage to keep my faculties together long enough to make that happen. It's just a matter of like I was telling you guys at the beginning of the stream, getting shit unpacked. Just getting things to where life isn't just livable, but like everything is finally done, comfortable, we're good. Totes are put away, boxes are broken down. It's been a slog, you know. Think of a good spicy game to send me. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Pops up in Western games because the consultant groups and the retarded publishers. Yeah, exactly, Empress. Yep. All right, I'm gonna raid Empress here in a minute, guys. All right, Judge Death, good seeing you, buddy. Susano, fun as always. Let me see. Where is this at? It's great. So even though I don't make videos hardly ever anymore, I got one dislike on the stream. Is probably that guy that told me to go fuck off. He didn't like that I asked him to be civil in the stream. Whatever. No, I've noticed the funniest shit is that when I don't make videos, I slowly lose subscribers over time. But then when I come back and actually do a live stream, then I lose a lot of subscribers. It's really funny, kind of how things work. Redirect, here we go. Rating an Empress sounds like something I do. Hellraiser trailer, I'll take a look at that. Hellraiser and Lulan, I think the name was. Only time I accept the androgynous looking characters if it's an Eastern made game about vampire characters. Yeah, I don't know. There's still a certain amount of like the the androgynous stuff that I just don't have any use for. The only time it really worked, there's one time it really worked, and it's people who forgot who I was. Okay, all right, Avernum, hush now, hush. Is on Passion of the Christ, the actress that they had play, I think it was an actress that they had play Satan, play Lucifer, and has like this bald head and pale skin, and you can't really tell if it's a man or a woman. It was super, super creepy. Next time you should talk about the game Dispatch. I was gonna bring it up at one point. I don't know enough about Dispatch to know how I feel about it. All I know is it looks like Tumblr art, and that worries me, but some people seem to like it, so I mean, that's cool. Whatever, you know, to each their own, I guess. All right, I am out of here, guys. Gonna send us over to Empress's stream. Looks like she's playing Ninja Gaiden 4, so peace out, guys. You've been awesome. I will hopefully be back in a couple days. We'll do a game stream Friday night if I'm feeling up to it.